to episode 102 of the Destiny Digest podcast. Hello, how are you guys doing? What a transition.
These are just getting
Nobody
so good
knew.
at this point.
Nobody knows.
Nobody ever know unless
Nobody
they sign
knows,
up to the Patreon.
unless they know how to read.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, you can still get the closed caption stuff. You know this.
I don't know about that. How many people know how to do that?
I know. They're always on.
They're always listening.
Dan doesn't.
They're always
let's talk to my
watching.
lawyer, please.
Tonight on the panel, we have Epic Dan.
Hello.
Sammy Cat.
Camera.
Bana.
Skibbity toilet.
Asefa.
Hi.
And our guest in the hot seat, Khan. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Before we get in a little bit into a conversation and to get to know you a little bit more, I'm gonna do just a little bit of housekeeping here. If you are listening to this on a podcast platform, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can join us live every Sunday night around 6:30 p.m. ET. That is 3:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Destiny Digest. You can ask questions live in chat and help us shape the conversation of the night. Episodes go live the next day on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Pocket Casts. Hopefully they do. It just depends on the kind of night I have. And you can help others find the show by rating and reviewing the show on your podcast platform of choice. There we go. Write a review. It helps us in the algorithm. First things first, just to kick us all off. How was everybody's week in gaming? What all did you guys get up to?
I did very little.
You did very little?
But
what did you do?
yeah, Diablo. I did Diablo. Other than that, as usual, just reading. But I did not play Destiny at all this week. I literally just logged in to grab the Halloween sets that they just re-released. The ones that
we talk about those a little bit later tonight.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just gonna go grab those, and then I had to pop up from like, oh, it's Iron Banner this week. Like right of the 9 new dungeon this week. I was like, yeah, I've played so much this week. Woo! So yeah,
it seems like there's a lot going on in Destiny right now. And I also am on that same thing of like, I've played maybe a couple of things this week and outside of helps today, and just haven't been able to play any games. Just still catching up with real life stuff. How is Diablo treating you? Like the new update and everything.
The activities are good. In my opinion, like they're fun. To me, Diablo is like kind of this game you go back to when you're like, I don't really want to play my main game, or I want to play just something that's very quote unquote grindy, not too bad, but more like I turn my brain off and I just go do stuff, right?
Right.
I just go play. That's my game for that. The activities are good this season. The balance in the activities is good, but my God, am I getting no luck in drops? So it's kind of a bummer. I'm like, okay, no luck in drop, no good drops. But the game itself is pretty good. I think they're finally like I've mentioned this before. I think they're finally finding their niche of like, we're gonna go more for casual gamers, not the hardcore like PoE stuff, which is good. Please keep doing that. Diablo 4, don't try to be something you're not. Just go for the casual gamers. You're gonna get enough players in that way, I think. But we'll see. I think they're still kind of trying to figure out some balance stuff. But overall, it's okay. It's not the best that it's ever been, but it's good. It's fine.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I haven't played that in in a while. It's got to be at least over a year at this point.
You should play it next season. Let's do that.
Okay, let's dive in. I'd be into it.
I mean, if you don't have 5,000 games to play,
there's quite a few games.
You do play a lot of games.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to Night Rain comes out this Friday. Yeah, dude. If any mutual wants to like come and hang out on Friday, I will make time and we'll.
The one where you have to play with other people, right?
It's a team of 3, yes.
It's a team of 3, and if you don't want to deal with multiplayer or like matchmaking,
yeah.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if people like, I'm gonna try to see if you can
solo
load in solo.
Yeah.
How long until someone can break it so that you can load in solo?
They'll probably do it like they do in other games, where I know, like in Trials back in the day, you would load in, the 2 people would just leave, and
Mm-hmm.
as long as it doesn't fill again, that would be how you do solo stuff.
Heard. Yeah, I'm
Big
looking forward to that.
excited.
I think that one's gonna be cool. I still got to wrap up Claire Obscure some point, but
Oh, yeah, you do.
yeah, we'll get that.
I gotta
Okay.
start it.
So you still haven't started it yet?
No, I've got
Oh,
so
yeah,
much
you've
to
been-
do.
Yeah, you've been in Ghost of the Deep Purgatory, right, with Master?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
How's
don't
that
have
going?
room on my computer. So,
Oh,
oh my gosh. Ghosts of the Deep.
The pain.
Silence.
I can feel the pain.
Oh, look what I made. Look what I made. I'm really excited
Holy
about this.
Ghost.
yeah.
So I have this thing where I just have to tell myself one phase at a time. Like I have
Yeah.
to survive. And
Yeah.
if it takes
Mhm.
me 20 phases, it takes me 20 phases. If it takes me 50, it takes me 50. But I made these little cards. Wait, wrong camera.
Oh.
Kind of backwards. So I have a whole bunch of them. And I get tokens. So every
Okay.
time I complete a phase, I get a 1 phase token. And then I can buy stuff with my token.
Let's go.
So wait, hold
Like-
on.
What can you
You
buy?
created the company store, and then
Yeah.
you can buy things from that company store. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yep.
So like for like 5
She did.
tokens, I can buy like 1 IRL hour of guilt-free whatever I want to do.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That's
So
Aw.
I can buy self-care with my 1 phase token.
Oh my god.
Oh
Sammy.
man, that is.
I'm so proud of you, Sammy.
No.
You've come so far.
I know. Well, look how many I have. I have so many.
So
I
do you
probably
just make
won't
them
get
on
all
the
of
fly,
them, but
or does like chat decide how many you get?
oh, I only get 1 per phase.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. Bono, what have you been playing this week, dude? You haven't been playing. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm not.
No
I'm
Dune
back to not
Awakening.
allowed to
Yeah.
can't say those words.
You
Damn.
can't say anything.
Oh, my bad. My bad, my bad,
So
my bad.
Con, he signed an NDA with somebody. I'm not going to say who, but it
Well,
rhymes.
we're not under NDA. We can say it.
It rhymes with the gloom in June.
AKA Dune.
You're so bad at that. Yeah, thank you, Dan.
I like
It
having
just-
to guess.
Just rhymes.
Con
Um,
is just like
I
confused.
haven't done
What are-
anything
yeah,
all week.
oh,
Yeah. I haven't done anything all week.
banned from talking about it, or have you actually just not done
No,
anything?
so the backstory, well, kind of, but kind of not. The backstory is Bana has a hard time keeping track. I mean, not keeping track of it, but he has a hard time not talking about stuff that's only in the like closed beta and
That can be talked about.
stuff that's
Mhm.
that cannot be talked about, and stuff that was in the open beta that he could talk about because it's an open beta,
But
could stream it
that's-
and everything.
That's a reasonable problem
But-
to have, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But like
An
he has
enviable
a
problem to have
hard-
by some.
that's another thing. So like he has a hard time kind of not, I don't know if it's keeping track of it or just like not remembering at the very moment he's talking about it, like, oh, this is a closed beta
Yeah.
stuff. I cannot talk
When he
about
gets
that.
excited, he starts.
It gets super, yeah, like he really likes
breaking
the
the
game,
air.
right?
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Some people
and
call
stuff.
it ADHD. I don't know.
I am
mean, fair.
glad that they did not have a closed beta for Marathon, because I would be in the same position and I would not
Oh,
know
yeah.
what to talk about. I have not signed a single NDA
Exactly.
for Marathon at all, so I can just say whatever I want with no repercussions,
But-
which is great.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Bana has that little issue, and then people were like, Bana, that's closed beta. You can't talk about that. So at some point he was like, I'm just not gonna talk about the game anymore.
I don't
Which
say
is
anything.
easier this way, you know? Yeah.
Don't worry,
So
guys.
this is
I
where
haven't
we're
done
at.
anything
I'll
all
edit
week.
all this
On
out.
a completely different note, I am very excited for in 2 weeks when Dune fully launches. So
Heck yeah.
There you go. You'll be able
Uh,
to talk about it now.
Con, what about you? What have you been playing, bud?
Surprisingly, I've been playing quite a bit. Player Obscure has just taken over my life.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Mm.
It's so
It
good.
is-
Welcome. Yeah.
One of my I never play single player games. I've been waiting years for like something to hook me, and I am obsessed right now. Not to plug, but it was like as a gift for myself for reasons. I got myself the collector's edition a couple days ago,
Oh,
and I am
nice.
so excited about that. So yeah, I mean, I even did a small like Discord stream earlier, and like a whole bunch of people were watching me. I'm obsessed with that game. It's beautiful. It's gonna get Game of the Year. If not, I can't wait for something to beat it because I want to play something that's as incredible or better than that because holy,
It ain't coming
such a
out
great
this
game.
year.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Could have got good, like the only thing that could have been it is possibly GTA, and that's been delayed till next year. So yeah.
Yeah.
And even then,
Yeah.
GTA
Got
wouldn't
every
have
chance.
won.
I will say,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
reckon.
for me,
Nah.
I'm not. I'm not
from a
into
quality
GTA.
standpoint.
I've never played a GTA game, so I have no interest in
Mhm.
it. But like the world and the world building of Obscure is just so top notch. It reminds me of old school Final Fantasy at like in its peak. Otherwise, I'm just doing Ghost of the Deep speeds, and I'm doing Pokemon Go.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of Claire Obscure?
Right now, it's how invested I'm getting into the characters. There's
Yeah.
so many different small parts to it. This is the first time I've played a game with parry mechanic. It
Mhm.
eases you in pretty well. I would say it's like going to be the gateway drug for a lot of people
Oh yeah.
to get into games with parry mechanics. I think that the music, the soundtrack's incredible. It's so pretty as well. So there's not one thing, but it's just the whole package. I'm surprised that I didn't hear about this game sooner. I
Yeah.
only discovered it this past week, and I'm playing it every chance I get.
Incredible, dude. Yeah. It's such a good game. It's such a good game. I'm glad that so many of us are checking it out.
It's been
here on the
such an
show.
interesting month,
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Claire, because I think I want to say, Dan, you played it right before when it came out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I played it like I think I finally started like 2 days after it came out, so it's still like within from in comparison to now,
Mm-hmm.
very, 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 very early in the word of mouth era, and it's been really nice. I've yapped enough on this podcast about Claire, so I'm not. But it's been really nice to. My entire following list every day is just Claire,
Claire,
which is
yeah.
just hilarious now. So it's really interesting
I will be sad. when
how
it's
strong
over.
word of mouth is.
Yeah.
Some
I
people are
can't
going
wait
to
to
name
play
their
it.
firstborn daughter Claire.
Well, I was joking about this, but one of the characters' name is Eskie, and I said that if I get
Mhm.
another cat, which I do plan on it, I'm going to name it Eskie.
SKA. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah,
That is
pretty
very
sure.
much a
That's
cat
so
character.
cute.
That is
Yeah.
very much a cat-like character.
On me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, dude.
You're gonna see a lot of knockoffs, I bet, just like
Yeah.
some of the other
Oh
genre
yeah,
defining
100%.
games. Because I've played a lot of turn-based games, and the thought of like turn-based games adding Dark Souls mechanics
Mm-hmm.
is something that like I never thought would work, but it works
yeah.
perfectly in this situation. So I obviously the only other one that I know of that's done similar mechanics to that was Legend of Dragoon. And that was like 30
Oh, yeah,
years
dude.
ago,
Yeah, dude.
you know.
So good.
So if it's been that long, we're gonna see a lot of like remember when Fortnite came out and every game was making their own BR for like
Mhm.
a good 3,
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Clear Obscure triggers a lot of companies saying, well, let's make something like that. They might not do turn-based, but they're probably going
Let's
to
make
do
an
Who
RPG.
could you see?
Some
who could
sort
you
of
see
RPG.
doing it?
Ubisoft.
I think the ultimate
Definitely
irony. But
You
there's
would like to think like BioWare could do something like that, but they don't have the capacity.
I don't want to talk about Mass Effect and the possibilities of me not getting Mass Effect after the Dragon
I'm there
Age
with
stuff
you.
that's been happening.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
so
I-
But also let's just say like that's a very funny thing about the current situation with video game companies right now. It's
Mhm.
like only a handful would be like able to do something like that quickly, quote unquote, because you do have to ride that wave, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's what's the point? But also,
Well, they
like,
could do it the next year because it'll
yeah,
grow
yeah.
all
But
year.
Mhm.
Then it'll win game of the year.
Just power
and
world
then
it,
that'll
fun.
like
and then yeah, okay,
push
okay,
him even
fair.
more. We should definitely like
But
start working on this.
But like, what big game company is gonna quote unquote take a risk like that? Because like, it's such a. I haven't played Color Obscure, right?
You should.
I've seen people play it. Looks really good. It's not really my style of
Should.
game, but I might give it a shot at some point. But I'd play it in
I-
French to be fair though, because I think the acting is
Mhm.
probably insane in
Wee
French.
wee.
But I was just thinking, but I was like, oh, the voice acting must be absolutely insane in French. But I'm just thinking like, video game companies are so like they don't really want to take risks like that
Mhm.
anymore. It's like the whole,
They
well, the
definitely
whole
don't.
entertainment industry, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
who could take it first? Like, who could do it? Who could take that type of project and do it? But then, would they be willing to quote unquote take a risk? I know it's a lower risk.
Starlight
But
kind of
still.
took my answer from chat. Starlight Vex in chat said Square Enix because
Yeah.
they're
Oh, yeah.
I was
yeah.
gonna say the same.
they're going to
Okay.
be doing
Agreed.
like the rumor is that they're going to be doing 9 soon. Like they're going to be updating 9. A lot of
Final Fantasy 9.
yeah, a lot of
Pretty
artwork's
wow.
been coming about and a lot of
Oh.
artwork has been redone recently. It wouldn't surprise me if like you saw Final Fantasy 9 get a remake, not in the same way that Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 7 has gotten a remake recently, but they've been re-upping all the art assets from the original artist. So it wouldn't surprise me. So
I think that if any company could do it, it would probably be Final Fantasy, and they do need a bit of a refresh, in my opinion.
mhm.
Actually, so even my old gamer tag is from Final Fantasy. Like I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, and this game, when I first saw it, I was watching a couple streamers play it, and the first thought I had was, it reminds me of old school Final Fantasy. And then I
Okay.
went ahead and like started playing it. Like the day, like right after I said that, I bought the game almost immediately to try it out. And yeah, I mean, like it has a whole bunch of old elements, but very refreshed, and it
Yeah.
feels nice to see. I definitely think that there are going to be companies trying to emulate it. I hope that they can get close, but yeah, it's just so like you can tell that the studio has a lot of love for the game and care. So every little part is done very, very particularly and meticulously. So
Yeah.
I was reading something, I don't remember where it was, but how a lot of other non-Japanese developers may start creating JRPGs
Mhm.
because now they have an example of a non-Japanese developer making it work and twisting in, tying in other genres and not having it based on that very strict art style as well. So it'll be interesting to see how many JRPGs come out that are successful, that don't just copy the art style, but
Mm.
kind of twist it and turn it a little bit, but still have the same mechanics and the same that still fit in the genre. So it'll be interesting the next couple of years to see what happens.
Absolutely.
Making
The art style is interesting. You're right, because most other RPGs are that anime style. This is not.
Mhm. Much more grounded in a more surrealistic way, I guess is the best way to put it.
I feel like this is what like a lot of people like,
Mhm.
or I guess would be more interested in playing because of
Mhm.
it not being the more traditional version. I don't know.
more international.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to. I've had life hit me real hard in the past couple weeks with a lot of IRL stuff. So I'm trying not to spend too much money ahead of like a summer where I'm going to be traveling for all sorts of conventions and stuff. But did you guys see? Are you guys familiar with Lost in Cult?
No.
Okay.
No.
They
Like lost in a cult? Like what,
it's
lost in cult? Or
I
lost,
believe
lost in
Lost LOST in Cult INCULT. They do a lot of they do a lot of design work and stuff. They also like make special editions for things, and they're putting out a special edition of Thank Goodness You're Here. That's like $60. It includes like an art booklet. It includes interviews with people that made the game, like in that booklet as well. I'm very excited about it. If you haven't heard of Thank Goodness You're Here, don't look into it at all. Just buy it. It is worth the money. It is 2 hours of your time. And
sounds like a pyramid scheme to me.
If you,
yeah, it really does.
If you dislike,
I don't know. If I
Don't
would
ask
trust
questions.
that.
Give us your
don't
money.
ask questions about it. Don't look up a trailer. Just buy it. It's 2 hours. It's great. It's such an awesome game.
What's it called again?
Thank Goodness You're Here.
Okay, I'm writing this down.
Hell yeah. Yes. Con. Yes,
Con's
Con.
next.
Website.
Con's next.
Like you
game
got
on the
me.
stream.
Look, I have fallen for pyramid schemes in the past.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you play Pokemon Go. So.
Did they include
True.
vector knives?
I don't know if I get that reference.
I'm sorry. I just aged myself so hard. Oh my God.
Yeah, the other guy did too because he's the only one who laughed.
I was gonna say, did you
No,
notice how the
I-
other old man laughed?
No, I have a
Sold.
command in my chat called !uncultured, and it basically says, "No, I have not heard of that TV or movie or music or song or know that actor or actress." I'm
Yeah.
generally just uncultured, so definitely fill in the blanks for me when you can.
Guys,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
never seen any of the Lord of the Rings.
This is true.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
not.
You invited this man on here without vetting
Listen,
that?
Listen
Yeah,
here.
kind
Listen
of
here.
bad
That's
thing
not that
now.
bad of a thing. That's not that bad of a thing.
Okay,
I think that
good.
gets a pass. Yeah, I think that gets a pass.
Okay,
At least for
wait,
me.
I do have a
He
question.
also
though.
doesn't have 20 hours to watch people walk. across.
exactly.
Oh, what's about
Exactly.
second breakfast?
I was like,
Okay,
I was
but I
like,
do have a question though. How
Like,
old
we're
is
gonna be
Tom?
on this topic for like 10, 20 minutes now.
Probably.
Oh
Come on though.
I have to like age myself on a podcast.
no, you're fine.
Yeah, well,
You're fine.
age yourself.
I did have-
Age yourself.
I did. I am a millennial, and my birthday was a couple days ago, so
Happy late
I'm more
birthday.
self-conscious about it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like he's in
Yeah.
the tail end of millennial though.
We should have got him a Lord of the
Get a-
Rings birthday cake.
Oh my god. I love how like this podcast right now is directly split in half when it comes to Lord of the Rings. It's the Dans and
There-
Khan versus everybody
Yeah.
else.
There
I
are other
enjoy
things I've
Lord of
not
the Rings,
watched.
but like that, I have
20
to
hours,
take
dude.
out I have to take
Exactly.
out a whole day to watch Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry.
I
You got things to
struggle
do.
watching movies.
It's only like
director's
9
cut?
hours.
You know what?
Man,
Watch this transition. You know what? Speedrun it. Watch it at 1.5.
there you go.
Boom! Oh, that was a fantastic speed. I mean, that's
Speedrun it.
Bravo.
transition.
Good show. Good show.
If you watch
Yeah.
it at 1.5 and it goes for 3 hours, would that be what? What's the math there? 2 hours, 20 minutes?
I'm no good at math. I got into video games because I
Have
didn't like
you-
math.
I think I would only ever watch it.
I got
Have
out of
you ever
math
seen those?
because I didn't like math.
2 hours. It'll be 2 hours.
Have we ever
Two
seen
hours.
Have you
those?
ever
Sure, thank you.
seen those like Snapchat filtered TikToks where it's like the ones with the big chins? If I watched Lord of the Rings entirety with that on, then I could watch it. Like,
The
I know.
with the Chad music in the background.
that fucking trend thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I could watch an entire movie. Of that.
The thought of Frodo and Sam.
Or just like with the wide eyes and the upturned noses, just
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I would get it.
Okay, so those of you who have watched it,
okay.
not
Yeah.
Khan, you know the part in Two Towers where they're going into Isengard and it goes do 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 do. You know what I'm talking about?
So
yeah.
I have that sound clip and I play it now every time I go into DPS with Ekthar. And it seems to work.
Amazing.
I remember the scene where the guy gets set on fire and he runs as
Okay.
fast as he can off of a cliff.
Oh,
And it takes like
yeah.
20 minutes.
That's Peter Jackson for you, man.
Yeah, this is spoilers for me. That's crazy.
That's fine. That's
think-
fine. When you see
yeah.
it, you'll know.
It changes nothing to the story. Don't worry about
You
it.
know it'll take
Nothing.
about 20 minutes.
No, now I can't watch it.
Yeah,
Oh well.
there we go. All right. Well,
Okay.
I just saved your life, Con.
The excuses.
I just saved your life. So, Con, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell the folks at home, if they don't know anything about you, a little bit about who you are and what spaces you fill in Destiny?
Hi, my name's Khan. I don't know Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that is definitely
I'm
part of the
uncultured.
puzzle. I am uncultured, but no, my name is Khan. I spend most of my time not watching movies or TV shows, mostly playing video games. And PvE is my happy place. So I'll be doing low mans, I'll do speeds, any challenges, various goofy things. I'll usually get chat to interact with some of my challenges as well every now and then. So, but yeah, mostly endgame PvE is where my bread and butter are at.
Hell yeah. So how'd you get started in Destiny 2? What was the thing that drew you to the game? Did you play Destiny 1 originally?
I did. So my older brother got me into Destiny 1 way back. He told me about this interesting game. Eventually he ended up dropping it. And I kept playing it until D2. Took a little bit of a break during Curse of Osiris, but then got a lot more into it around the pandemic time. Joined Tier 1 around a little bit before then, and then really started to get more involved in the community and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it was the pandemic that really cemented, a little bit more of the passion in trying to get good in PvE. I used to be more of a PvP main. All of Destiny 1, most of Destiny 2. I still have a ton of hours in PvP, but around Beyond Light time, I just couldn't handle the PvP sandbox, and I switched from PvP. Still wanted to play the game that I love, and switched over to the PvE side of things. Watching a lot of streamers that I still watch today. I don't know if you know Vendetta. Vendetta is someone who I joined his community. He's in the same clan as me. Watch a lot of his stuff, and eventually I picked up a lot of the same challenges that he would do on stream as well.
Excellent. So was that your gateway into the speedrun community, or like watching those streamers, or
A little bit, yeah. So Vendetta, or Lethal, I call him Lethal. He would occasionally do farms on stream, and occasionally I'd hop in, and I get very ADHD about certain things. So what I'll end up doing is try and set small challenges when I'm running something. And one of the big things is that he was always doing speedruns and stuff like that. I had not gotten into it, but one time, one of the runs that he needed people to farm with, we ended up just starting to see how fast we could go. And while we were farming, it just became a small thing that we were starting to improve. Eventually, around a couple of years ago, I started streaming myself, not really with any goal or intention in mind, but I decided that if I'm going to be playing this game, I want to be good at it. I want to go ahead and put more emphasis into various challenges. So other than just playing the game, I decided that I'll go into low mans. I had a couple people from the community start to take me through various trios. Eventually I started to do trio flawless raids, start to do more solo challenges. I hit kind of a wall with low mans, and then eventually decided that I wanted to go into speeds. And one day I just asked my chat, if there are a couple people who'd be interested in doing some GM speeds, because that's what Lethal was doing quite frequently at the time, and what we were farming. And I don't know if you know either Razor Cut or Bergenstar. They're a big member of the community as well. Yeah, Berg is great. And those two hit me up in the chat, and we started running within like the next week or so. We got pretty good seasonal times. Kept running. Eventually started run with Salt and Lethal for various speeds, and even Sutek and Special. So that sort of kicked it off. But it was all about one-upping myself. I feel like you can only get so good doing low mans. So speeds gave me a different skill set to be good at, and it was all of this was in pursuit to do get placements in day one races. That was definitely the big underlying goal. Just trying to get to be a better player for that. And that's what really got me into speeds.
What's your best time in any activity?
I don't know right now. I actually was talking about this with someone. Insight Terminus is the current GM right now, and I believe I still have the fastest API time in Insight. And I don't think that's getting beat because the strategy is currently there's no strategy that can beat that. There are other ones that I have very good times of, but everything has sort of been power crept.
Okay, yeah.
So
makes sense.
everything has it's gotten a lot tougher to keep some of the old records. I have not done too many GM speeds very competitively in the last season or two, but yeah, a lot of those now rely on various Consecration Titan builds, and yeah, every season everyone sort of one ups these records. I don't think the Insight one has been beat, but I would have to check. And that's like a 4-minute, like
4-minute Insight Terminus.
Yeah, it's like a 4-minute Insight Terminus. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Yeah, like everything's been power crept in this game for
A little bit,
while. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. When you're running, what are some of your favorite loadouts to run when you're doing speeds?
I think it changes for me. One of the big problems that I had in terms, and something that I relate to people who want to improve out the game, a lot of people end up getting very comfortable with loadouts, get very comfortable with weapons or builds. A lot of people, for example, will go ahead and only run one type of build for a while, whether it be like Consecration Titan or Invis Hunter or whatever it might be. And I will try and rotate things out, so I don't have one particular thing that's favorite for a long period of time.
Cool.
But lately, when I'm doing these ultimatum speeds, I've been enjoying these Arc Titan rotations, because you can one phase, with the right setup with a team, you can go ahead and one phase these bosses that have a lot of health by getting a second Thunder Crash, getting all your rockets off. There's a lot of room for small minor improvements and just making sure that you get all your damage rotation and swaps off. It's a lot more different than doing enough damage with, let's say, like a Consecration build or like a melee build. There's a little bit more thought that goes into it, and I think that's what I've been enjoying a lot more, is having a good rotation with that Arc Titan build is very, very fun and very satisfying.
Okay, what all goes into that Arc Titan build? I'm not trying to get you to spill all your secrets, by the way.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah. Right now, there is a Touch of Thunder build where, various fragments, I don't remember all the fragments by name, but with Elemental Siphon, Limit Break, and Defibrillating Blast and the Seasonal Artifact, you can basically spam a whole bunch of arc damage, get a whole bunch of Ionic Traces, and you can get back your super energy a lot faster. So basically, the build relies on creating these Ionic Traces and using a triple Dynamo build and spam barricades with a Song of Flame Warlock. Basically, what you're trying to do is, in between your rotation, you'll fire off a couple rockets, spam your other two weapons, get your other rockets spam, put any barricades you can in between, throw nades. By the time you've done all this in a good, clean rotation, you should have gotten a second T-Crash off, and if you do everything right, you can go ahead and one phase these with the right builds. So it's definitely one of those where if you don't do one of your rotations right, or you swap a weapon too early, don't get a right weapon roll, if your weapon's not reloaded from Envious properly, you'll just have a huge damage drop off, might not even get your second Thunder Crash. So it's a very intense rotation. It's actually pretty fun. But once you get once you get it down, it's also very, very consistent. Kind of like the nice part.
Kind of like a clockwork high skill ceiling.
Yeah,
roll.
Exactly. Yeah, no, there's definitely skill involved. It's not like you can just consecrate the entire way through and just melee your way to victory, which was generally what most speeds have been like for GMs, especially in the past few seasons. The Ultimatum has brought in a little bit more thought into it because of not swap and various other pieces, which is a whole separate conversation. You know, there are people for or against it, but it has made the speeds for the recent dungeons kind of interesting.
Where do you sit on the not swap conversation?
I'm not strongly for or against it. I don't think it's setting out. I don't think it's accomplishing what it's set out to accomplish. If the sole thing to accomplish was, you know, here are these exotic weapons. If you're going to go ahead and run a Curious or a Celestial, you are forced to sit on this the entire time. If that's the goal, then great. They accomplished that. But otherwise, surge swaps are still a thing. You can still swap surges. You can still swap weapons. Pretty much any, you know, if you have to rotate from a certain exotic weapon to another exotic weapon, there's just another manual swap you have to do in between to go ahead and make that happen. But all in all, it's just not necessarily as impactful as I think that they were intending, maybe, or maybe they eased off the gas a little bit, didn't make it as nearly as intense as they wanted to. But it's an interesting theory in thought, but I don't think that it was necessarily effective in doing what it's meant to do. I also think that adding swaps in general to endgame content does add a little bit of a skill ceiling where, you know, it requires a little bit more knowledge and whatnot. I know people have their whole thoughts about menu gameplay, but yeah, that it just depends on a couple factors of, like, you know, how you want to go ahead and implement damage, where you want to put the skill ceiling, and, you know, what emphasis on skills that you want to put in. I think that if they wanted to do not swap full send, as soon as you swap off to another loadout mid encounter, it would just take away all your abilities. Whether that's right or wrong, I think it's just personal preference.
Okay. For the panel, do you guys have any questions for Khan? Anything that you'd want to bring up?
Not really.
All right. Cool.
I've bothered him enough. Before.
What are you after this ultimatum dungeon? What are you sort of going for next? You obviously go for the next one that sort of comes out, but like, is there anything still on your to-do list before you know, the next part of Destiny comes out in July? What are you looking to tick off?
I think I have. For me, I want to do a little bit more with Lowmans, actually. I think we will do. I'm trying to get a decent time for Ghosts. Right now, I think Lethal's team, Special and Sutek and Lethal, they have a 17-minute 2-second one. We'll see how close that, you know, my team is running. You know, if we can get a time close to that. I would like to get a time for that. I think I would like to get a time for Prophecy as well. I think Prophecy could be a really fun one to run potentially. But as far as no, there's a lot of potential for various skips, and, you know, honestly, one of the best things that they did, and I'm sure we're going to get a little bit more into it, is introduce the speedrun challenge and even bring up that conversation for Spire. I think it was like very, very good for the scene, and hopefully it brought more eyes and interest into that, because it's definitely one of those parts of the community that is, I think, a little bit underrepresented. It doesn't get the love and attention that it, you know, probably deserves for the amount of time and effort that it, you know, they put into it. Some of the strats and skips and things like that they employ are very, very cool. And same thing goes with, I'm sure, for various speeds that'll come for Prophecy as well. But yeah, my main goal will be making sure that I have at least somewhat of a decent time for each of the dungeons, just because I already have a somewhat decent time for Spire. I do want to get a better time for Spire as well, but then I'll probably go back to doing. I want to get a solo flawless run before the end of the season, and maybe I'll see if I haven't been as interested in it as I thought I would be, but I do want to also do solo witness before the end of the season as well, potentially, if my interest actually holds enough, depending on how desperate I am to go ahead and throw myself into that jail.
Have you ever thought of like applying for Games Done Quick?
No,
Okay.
because I've seen the crazy cracked gamers that do go there. Someone in my day one team, I'm scouting for a day one team at the moment. It's actually the one with Lethal, but Zemo got invited to Games Done Quick, and I saw what he was. He's a natural, like, you know, cracked speedrunner. I'm okay, but I've seen what, you know, there's a different tier, I believe, in like how good you can be when you reach the ceiling, and some of these people are very, very, very good at these speeds. And so when Zemo was on, I saw it, and I mean, thousands of people watching you, just like, you know, yeah, it's intense. I don't know if I would be able to go ahead and hold up to the pressure, but I think more than that, I've also, to a certain degree, for the longest time, I didn't even consider myself a speedrunner or anything like that. I just consider myself someone who likes to go fast in GMs or whatever I happen to be doing. And then eventually, after GMs, I had a couple people from Butters' community teach me more about dungeon speeds, and I learned a little bit more about, you know, some of the tech and techniques that go into those, which was very, very cool. But yeah, I'm more of, if anything, I consider myself more of a speedrun fan, right? Like, I learned so much and I employ these and I try and get the best times I can. But yeah, some these speed demons, they're a different breed. Like, they have the gene.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see.
I got a little bit of a taste for it back when, so they did a Sundered Doctrine event, like,
yeah,
I got a little bit of a taste for it. That was my first time ever speedrunning anything in the game, and like kind of finding
good.
Like those guys did good. I think I was the ball. I was the ball and chain at their feet for most of that. It did help me like understand the encounters better. Like, just because it's like, okay, well, like when this thing happens, like you're watching the clockwork of the game. Like, once you're going at a certain speed, and
you picked it up really well. You know, watching, because I was also running that, but on the EU side, and you know, going and watching your stuff and what your team had done, like, you'd picked it up and you were keeping up really well with them as well. So, you know, give yourself some fucking credit.
Well, thank you. I was doing my best.
You were kicking it.
But once again, not fishing for compliments there. But yeah.
You deserve one.
But you completely hit the nail on the head, though. Like, you know, one of the big things about speeds is that the more you do them, you start to realize some of the nuances of the game. You know, spawn locations, how certain bosses move, how the AI operates. It's like you spend enough time in an encounter running it over and over again. You understand, you know, how you can get the boss to stay in certain places, how to stagger. And it just comes down to how much time you put into it. And it goes to show, you know, some of the people who have like really, really in-depth knowledge about some of these encounters. It's insane. I mean, we were, you know, the challenge for the Spire one for the last, you know, challenge that they put out there, the time to beat was 13:25, and I think I saw some people get like around sub 9s, but the world record for the normal version is around 4 minutes. So yeah, I mean, thinking about it, right, and like it was like years of people discovering new techniques to go ahead and make the 4 minute happen, and then just a god run where all of the stars aligned. So that doesn't happen, you know, without like a huge community of like, you know, speedrunners trying to like contribute to this one niche run of this dungeon, you know. And I just saw like a 3-minute presage earlier today that got that happened like, I don't know, a few days ago. So there are people in like the community doing niche speed runs that you would never imagine, just doing the most insane crack things with skips, oobs, and all these different techniques. So yeah, I mean, 100%. Like, I'm glad that they did that speedrun. I'm glad that they're slowly starting to invite more eyes into speeds and challenges. I'm hoping that they go ahead and extend that to Lowmans as well. They've shown some love to Lowmans, like Solo Witness, and done more highlighting of it during the TWABs and stuff as well. So that's good on them for that. But yeah, it is cool to see.
We had this for a little bit later in the show, but like I did want to kind of pick your brain a little bit about like the speedrun update. So in this week's TWAB, let me see if I can just open that up real quick without it freaking me out. There we go. They did say last week we saw Fireteam set a great speedrun par time for Ultimatum Spire of the Watcher, as well as Guardian completing the activity solo and flawlessly. When seeing these awesome achievements, we thought it would be fun to issue a small challenge. You know how we feature movies, artists, and fashion in 2's? How about we shine the light on our speedrunning community? The response was fun. We're very happy that so many teams pushed themselves to beat the mark. Congratulations to everyone that was a part of it. Right after we announced that what we thought was a small and simple challenge, we got many questions about what's allowed, what's not, how the emblem would be rewarded and when, and many others. We want to come up with a very clear Bungie speedrun challenge format with set rules for everyone to follow that's fair and fun. We have started brainstorming on future opportunities after the Edge of Fate launches. Stay tuned. From that, like what rules would you like to see instituted for the speedrun challenges from Bungie? Are there anything off the top of your head, anything that you'd particularly want to see?
No, 100%. First of all, I think it's just really, really cool that they said that. I was kind of worried because they mentioned that, they had all those questions. But to be honest, it was a lot more of a controversy where like there were some pretty toxic comments. The original question where they announced, the community surprisingly was just not completely accepting right away. It's crazy, I know. But one of the things that happened was that they had a lot of these questions about, what the skip versus no skip was. And reason, in my opinion, some of the outrage was justified, but I also saw Bungie's side in not allowing skips in this case, because they did, the time to beat was 1325. 1325 was one of the first times that, this team had put out. It was very, very scuffed. It had no skips. It had a 2-phase on the final boss. Overall, the transitions and those things were fine. They first phase the first boss. So, but it was a very cozy time to beat, like all things considered. And I think the amount of submissions that they actually got will highlight that. But I think probably a couple hundred teams ended up getting the submissions in under the 1325. Very, very cozy time to beat if you knew what you were doing. So that's why they implemented the no skip rule, because if they had allowed skips, the number would go from like 200 submissions to maybe like 1,000. They're manually assigning these like emblems. So completely understand where they're coming from. But for future challenges, I do think that they should allow skips to some degree. I think that most skips are generally fine. I think that what I would not want to see necessarily, or I would expect not to see, were DSM's spawn manipulations are probably not going to be allowed, and oobs aren't going to be allowed. I think Bungie themselves probably don't necessarily want to, what's the right word, enable that, or like, they're probably okay with it permitting, but like they don't want to be like,
this is how the sausage is made.
They might not want to go ahead and condone that, just because it's the integrity of the game. They don't want to highlight that right away for a live service game. So I would get why they would not want that. But as far as most skips go, I think that they should be allowed. And I think for the most part, Bungie is very well aware of most skips to a certain degree. They've seen them. They've seen speed records. They've seen wall skating and other tech that's out there in the game right now. So it should be, in my opinion, most skips like that should be fine. Things like Lumina grappling, sparrow flying. I think all those things should be allowed otherwise.
Excellent. Yeah, that was something like when we were doing that Sunder Doctrine challenge, that like we would have to constantly be like, hey, is this like what's going on here? Like, can we use
Yes.
this? Can we like? I remember them saying no out of bounds, very like in bold type, because they like they don't want you seeing like how the sausage is made.
It was also I also thought that there was a fair bit of controversy around that initial competition as well, because it was like, it was more of a friendly match. It was like, a celebrity match of sorts, where it's like, all right, here we're gonna get some very cool faces that in the community and put them against each other. But the entire speedrunning community was like,
what about us?
Because they were itching to go ahead and get a piece of the pie too. Eventually, there were groups that put together a small contest or a small speedrun competition for the end game scene. But again, it didn't get necessarily acknowledged by Bungie per se. But now, it is very, very fun to see when a competition is held and they're like, no holds barred. The only rule is you can't use third-party tools, whatever. Everything else in the game is fair game. And have at it, have the best time. And you see pretty much the pinnacle of D2 end game, skill head to head, and see how fast, because often you will see times get close to beaten when it comes to like these kinds of competitions where world records or seasonal records are achieved during these competitions. So that's always fun to see, and it would be cool to have Bungie next time when there's a competition where they invite content creators to have a separate category for the end game scene, for the rest of the community to compete on how fast you can go ahead and achieve these times, because it was cool to see content creators go ahead and put some spotlight into it. But also it is a different breed when you have people who are very accomplished in their craft.
And there's more than enough room for it in the community as well. Like just because like within the community, there's not just YouTubers and Twitch streamers, right? Like you were talking about, like there's folks that are known for speedrunning, there's folks that are known for low mans, there's folks that are known for PvP. Like there's a wide breadth of skill that they've allowed within their game, and wide breadth of content that people can go for. I mean, Sammy's pretty much a celebrity for soloing everything with bows, right? Like there's more than enough room for everybody at the table.
That's
and I would
where I know you
like to
from.
see that.
Crazy. People in the Apex community know me for using bows. Yeah, I'm not
I need
joking.
to hear that story later on.
That's
someone was just like,
amazing.
your name sounds really familiar. Oh, you're that girl that uses bows.
That's so cool.
They didn't even say Destiny. They were just like, you're that girl that uses okay.
That's so
Cool.
Heck yeah.
That was weird.
I guess
Sorry.
before we move into like the news of the week and like the TWID and everything, one last question here. As someone who despises the transition sections in Ghost of the Deep, what are your secrets to getting through that as quickly as possible without hating?
So bad.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know if you're talking about like Ultimatum or just in general, but there are actually a couple cool
Just in general.
lines. Like if you have a well lock, there are some really cool lines that you can hit where you can just well skate into the water, and it gives you enough momentum that you just make it towards the end.
Okay.
You just have to know the lines, but that's pretty straightforward. I haven't tested this out myself, and I want to see if it'll work. I don't think it will, but there are various parts where you can Lumina grapple, and there might be a couple places where you can potentially Lumina grapple outside the map a little bit and just like get past some of the water sections. I don't think you can Lumina grapple through the water, because as soon as the bullet hits the water, it hits a hitbox, and then you're just out of luck. But there are some cool tips and tricks. For Ultimatum, it's a little bit trickier because some of the lines have barriers where, for example, if you hit a line and you're a solo warlock, you do have to kill that transition boss still, from what I understand, which is kind of a bummer. But otherwise, have someone who can skate and just hit the water hard and fast and just know where to hit, and you'll find a lot of luck there. It's part of the reason why I was hoping that there would be a competition for this one and that they would allow skips. I do think that if they did do the competition, they might want to limit it to just the top 5 or 10 fastest times. But yeah, Ghost is actually kind of a fun dungeon to speed, just based off the last week or so that I've been running. But yeah.
Tidley, our correspondent from California right now, is saying, "You do what to the water?"
You heard me, Tidley.
We miss you, buddy. Skeet skeet. All right,
God,
let's get into the news. So first things first, we had this week is the first week from the revised scheduling that they created for the Rite of the Nine. So this is the first week of Ghost of the Deep. We're going to have another week of it next week. Do we know what the modifier is going to be for it next week?
I hope it's not attrition.
I hope not either.
Just do Ultimatum, then you don't have to deal with some of these modifiers.
That's true.
Yeah,
Togetherness would be awful. Berg throwing togetherness. He knows.
Oh, dude. Oh, God.
Unless you're together, you lose pressure fast.
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
Eternity is counterfeit, says Cryo Phoenix in chat. So they say
Hold
this
hands, everybody.
this first week of Ghost of the Deep will be followed by another where 2 new quests will be available along with increased rewards and weapon drops from enemies defeated within the activity. As a reminder of how Rite of the Night rotation works now, from May 20th until June 3rd, we have Ghost of the Deep. Week of May 27th, increased rewards and weapon drops from enemies. June 3rd through June 17th, we have Prophecy with an increased drop rate from enemies on June 10th. June 17th until June 24th, all Rite of the Nine dungeons will be available to play at any time and on any difficulty. June 17th, increased currency drops active for all dungeons. From June 24th through July 8th, all dungeons are available, and one will have increased currency rewards. Cycling from Spire of the Watcher, Ghost of the Deep to Prophecy. And from July 8th through July 15th, a Ludapalooza will begin, where increased currency rewards and weapon drops from active enemies will be in all dungeons. And they'll be turning on a new way to spend your nonary manifold currency. So what's everybody's thoughts on that? Are you guys good with the new rotation?
I think it's nice that they're going for like, oh yeah, like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then everything. And then they're keeping the everything. And then they're like, oh, we're keeping everything open, but then you'll also have, if you do this week, this specific dungeon, you'll have more rewards / more currency or whatever. I think it's good. I think that's the only way they can really keep people going in. Instead of going like 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then just forever on. It's also a good catch-up mechanic for people that may not have had a time or may not be interested currently or have too many other things going on.
Right.
To really put in the time with these dungeons. It also gives time to people to kind of learn, because I've seen some people say that they haven't been able to complete Ultimatum. Either because they haven't found people to do it, or their team was not able to complete it, or there's various reasons, right? Or sometimes people also, they're like, oh, I don't want to go to a streamer, or like I haven't been able to go to a streamer.
I haven't completed this
So I
week
think-
because I just haven't had time.
I haven't even.
I got you.
I haven't even done it.
Damn.
No, but like even for me, I haven't even done it. I was supposed to do it, and then we just never confirmed it, and we just fell through. It's okay, but like I like the fact that it's a 2-week thing. So I'm like, oh, I'll do it next week, and then next week we'll have double rewards, right? Which is great. Thank you for that, Bungie. You should always do that. Please keep this idea. And then having everything as a like I think that the Lollapalooza with like the more drops and rewards and stuff,
Mhm.
that's their way of keeping people engaged in like that last week, because we've talked about this before. Like we know that the last week of a season, people tend to kind of drop their engagement with the game because they're like, I
Mhm.
need a break, which is fair because it's like I need a break from this game. If I want to go hard next week with the new content, I'm just gonna stop for a week, like just gonna take a full clean break and then come back. So I think it's their way of doing like, oh, you want a break, but here's a shiny thing for you to do. Here's a shiny
Mhm.
thing to kind of make you come back. So that's
I also
definitely an engagement thing.
I also think it's great that they introduced the attunement bit into
Yes.
the
Mhm.
journey, because I know that there are only a couple weapons that I really care for. Ghost has most of the weapons that I care about, honestly. So I'm going to be farming it a bunch. But if it didn't have the attunement, it would be so much slower, and I'd have a lot less
painful.
motivation. Yeah,
Are
it
you-
would be a lot
Oh, it
more
would be
painful.
What are the weapons that you're going for in Ghost of the Deep?
I want a good cold comfort. I think that is the primary meta weapon that people are looking for to be competitive for whatever reason. Right now, there are other rockets that are just better, but who knows? Maybe stasis rockets will be preferable. So it's good to always have one good rocket of various types. But the other one that's a little bit more niche is I want a Pacific Epitaph. I think that's
Okay.
how you say it.
Yes.
And that's just because it's the only stasis waveframe with certain perk combination, and it's also a personal favorite of mine. I think it's also really, really good for building darkness energy for transcendence. So that's a really big added plus. I think it's very slept on. I know other people like
like
other waveframes. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. And the fact that some of these dungeon weapons you can't get really perks up anywhere else in the game, it's definitely worthwhile to go ahead and grind. Especially when they're rolling with 3 perks in every column. It saves so much more vault space, which I struggle with.
We all struggle with here. Let's
You're
be
not
real.
alone.
Dan doesn't
Yes.
struggle.
Dan goes through these phases where he just
Wow.
goes and like, oh, you can pay me. Well, it's charity to be fair.
It's
like, I'll give
charity.
him that
It's
one.
charity. It's
But
always
like, you
charity.
can pay me to like get rid of my whole vault, and then he has to regrind for all of it. Like, he's slightly insane. Let's be real, but that's okay. It's for charity.
But,
But
he doesn't
then
have
not
the issues
to-
we do.
Much later,
You don't need anything.
you look at his vault and it's like, wait, that happened?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well-
but that's the thing
Okay.
where it's insanity, but he does it on purpose, right? Like it's on purpose because he's like, oh, I'll fill my vault so people get mad at me because my vault is full, and then I'll be like, oh guys, I can get rid of my vault if like for charity, just give me money for it. Well, give the charity money for it, and then I'll get rid of it, and then people do it because they get mad. Like we all get triggered by a full vault, even though we have a full vault, right? And then
I'm gonna
It-
add
it's
this
like-
to a list of things that triggers Seth. Like we got.
I mean,
Seth
you want to
list,
see my vault?
Seth
It's
list.
so bad, Bonna. I get triggered. No, I get triggered more by other stuff. I'm not going
good,
to tell
I'm
you
good,
what
thank
because
you.
then you'll do
Thanks
it.
for the offer. Oh, I
I
know.
can
what
show
you're
you
doing.
my vault has an entire page of cold comforts in it.
I'm not even surprised. I'm not even surprised. But then so yeah, so that's what happens. Then Dan gets rid of his vault for charity, and then he goes into farm mode again. Doesn't look at his vault until it gets full. He has no space for it, and then he does the whole thing all over again.
I get rid of
Insanity.
stuff occasionally.
Hey, Dan,
This
I
this
just
is
do
like
it
Okay.
for attention. Is that what,
What?
this is? Do you just fill up your vault
this
for
is
attention?
worse than fucking
Sammy?
revealing the Colonel's 7 herbs and spices. Seth has just like laid the entire formula out on the floor. for Dan.
Sammy, I
I mean,
stream video games on the internet. I run a podcast about Destiny. What isn't for attention?
and then Bonna, to be fair, like Dan did not say
I
shit to
mean-
me.
Fair
I
point.
just like
That's
figured
the
it out.
bait.
He didn't say
You
shit.
just went
Vault.
for the jugular.
Vault.
I just went for the jugular.
Yep. Thanks, bud. I'll remember
Juggler.
this.
It's
Barely
okay, you
know
love
her.
me. No, to be fair, it's okay. Again, he does it for charity. I can't get
Yeah.
mad about that part. Like it's all for a good cause.
You
but
sure?
I
You seem
will-
quite mad.
No, I'm not mad. No, I will get triggered sometimes. I'll be like, Dan, but it's okay. He does it for a good Natalie, you're not touching my vault, dude. I had Mitch look at my vault once
Sidley.
and like literally make fun of me, and I was like, never again. There's one
Oh,
person who helps me
Mitch?
clean my vault.
Seriously? He'd never do that.
Oh, did you
Look.
see Mitch? Like, actually,
Mitch,
if you
Mitch
think
doesn't
I
make
tore-
fun of people.
No. You think I tore into Dan right now? You've seen nothing until you've seen Mitch tear into you.
Who's Mitch? I don't
Oh
know
my
this
God,
person that makes
Tiddly.
fun of me every time he sees me.
Swear to God.
You know, the person
Who's Mitch?
who is just the most supportive critiquer when it comes to a vault is Rev.
Yeah. Rev,
We
Rev,
talk-
will let you
we know different revs.
Rev,
We know different
Rev
revs.
wants your
He's
vault
like,
as
I
full
don't know
as
if she's
possible.
being sarcastic or not. I don't know if she's being sarcastic or
I
not.
say the C word
Well,
a
to
lot.
me,
That man's
because
called me
he's
the
like,
C word more times than
here's-
I've ever said it.
Here's what you need to do. Basically, like, well, at least for me, he's like, I'll hold your hand. And then he looks and he's like, well, you're
Oh no.
hopeless.
Okay. Rev is nice to you.
We know different
okay?
revs.
Yeah, Rev
we
is
do.
really nice to you. I love Rev. Rev is a great person. Absolutely love Rev. Rev would never do that with me. He'd actually shout at me and be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
He
And
wasn't.
then he'd be like, "Get rid of this and that and that." And like, no, he's just very nice to you.
He wasn't
you
even
have like
in the raid today that I did I did helps today. He wasn't even in the raid. He just hopped into the comms and started yelling at us. It was great.
yeah, he does that. Like you know a very different Rev, Sabi, and I'm like so happy for you because that's not the experience we would get with Rev. Love you, Rev, but I'm very realistic in the fact that if Rev ever touched my Volt, that's not how it would go.
All of a
Not
sudden, I'm
it.
taken
Well,
back
he
to my
hasn't touched
childhood
it.
when my parents treated me differently to my siblings.
Oh my god.
This is getting deep.
This isn't therapy. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's
Uh,
so funny.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me of a question that I'll ask later at the end of question time.
Oh, and later, he says.
all right,
And I'll
so-
forget about it.
So
Parents in therapy?
this week,
That's a
they
thing.
said it's that time of the year where weapons who have been around the longest step away and leave the room for those that are yet to come. This week is the last one in rotation for the Slammer Adept. The Stasis legendary sword earned in Nightfalls that many of you know for having Eager Edge and Cool Steel as signature perks. If you don't have the Adept already, your time is almost up. Make it count. Remember, all Nightfall weapons can be focused in the tower with Zavala. If you're looking for a fun Stasis sword to start the Edge of Fate with, this is a great pick. I'm sure everybody here probably has like a really solid roll of this now, right?
Or like 5.
I think I have
Years ago.
Yeah.
something like that. I have way too
Who
many.
knows?
It is
Yeah.
crazy that it's
Sammy's
going
like, I
away,
don't
though.
care.
Hasn't it gone away? I feel like it
I know
went
it has
away
Eager Edge.
once before already.
That's one
It
with
might
Eager
have.
Edge.
Yeah. Con, you said
I mean,
that
hopefully they
that's
bring it
going
back.
away. What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
I mean, it is the best speedrunning Eager Edge sword out there right
Mhm.
now. I mean, I think there are a lot of weapons, and I've been trying to do a little bit more research into it, where there are certain weapons that are FOMO rolls,
Mhm.
where these weapons are meta relevant. This is the only sword that has built-in perk for both unstops and overloads. So
Mhm.
if that's something that you're looking for while you're going fast in transitions for a day one race or anything like that, that's going to be very important. And the fact that it's going away is kind of crazy in my opinion, without any real substitute or any idea when a substitute will be around the counter. And yeah, there are other options. There's like chill clip rocket sidearms now. So there are options to go ahead and handle those types of situations, but it is a very, very good weapon. And the fact that it is going away and some people probably won't be able to get it for who knows how long, it's interesting.
I noticed that whenever they remove stuff though, I feel like historically they've always like they'll
Provided
remove
something.
something and then they'll power creep it instantly. So I'm curious if this is going to be one of those times.
In the
Now, it might
past,
not be with like not Final Shape, with the Edge of Fate.
no, I agree. I think in the past, what they've done is they've gotten rid of very, very important perk combinations that are meta relevant and then added them as something that's craftable. But also,
Yeah.
I think they're on the streak of doing less craftable weapons
Yeah.
Yeah.
and getting them to be more farmable. And they're trying to find this balance where there are certain weapons that are okay to be craftable, and then other ones that they want you to farm for. Dungeon drops are like the main highlighted place for certain roles,
Mhm.
you know, for certain types of weapon archetypes. But yeah, I mean, it's very likely we'll get some form of eager edge. I don't know if we'll get an eager edge cold steel combination anytime soon. I think that's just so niche that I don't see. And I think they like to give certain weapons a little bit of an identity, and
Mhm.
that is the Slammer's identity. You know, it's the stasis
Yeah.
with cold steel and eager edge. I don't see them giving another weapon that kind of per combination, but I do see them, for example, having a strand, eager edge sword with another combination that might be, you know, splice or something like that, where it's, you know, got a little bit more of a strand component.
Mhm.
Rumor did.
Hey guys,
Um,
guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just had a really exciting idea that's slightly related, but it's a little bit not. So you can tell me to wait on this, but I just have to tell you guys. I have
Let me
to
hear
share
it.
it. Okay.
Go for
So
it.
what if it is an exotic bow, but it acts like
There
No,
it is.
no.
Sword?
it's strand and it acts like a hook shot.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Okay.
it takes your grenade or something or your melee. It takes something
Mm-hmm.
and you can aim it kind of like a grapple, but you can aim it, and then wherever you aim it, that is where like the anchor will be, and then it'll take you to it.
I have one question.
What?
How would you use that in Master Ghost of the Deep?
Get the fuck away from XR.
All right, Bungie, you've heard it here first. Print it now for Edge of Fate.
Wouldn't that
probably
be
an
so
alt fire, right?
cool?
It'd probably be an alt
That'd
fire.
be interesting.
Would
Something like
speedrunners
that,
use
yes.
it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say
See?
actually.
There, it's
I would see
related.
anything that adds different movement tech to the game, I'm all in
Mhm.
favor for. So anything that's like grapple, you know, one of the big things that I wanted was for Strand to be able to pull things to you.
Yeah.
And that would be very interesting. I also was just generally sad whenever I heard that there was a cooldown for the grapple, right? Like the idea of having the freedom to grapple as much as possible is just cool. And yeah, there's still a lot of potential with Strand for speedrun stuff. I think it is a little bit limited by certain cooldowns and things like that. But yeah, I would love that. Honestly, Sammy, I know that your exotic bow idea, you know, is an exotic bow idea, but I do think that it would add a lot more to like the movement tech. You know, anything that does
What other
cool stuff like that
kind
is
of
always
weapon
fun.
could it be?
Anything that shoots or a thing for if it as far as like the way that I understand yours is that, you know, wherever you shoot you get pulled towards. I know they're trying to do a little bit more
Like
with
navigator, but it pulls you
Yeah.
towards it.
No, I agree. No, I think that could be cool. I know that
If
they're
we're doing
trying to
that,
do
we
more
may as
stuff
well
with
make
that.
like a portal gun from Portal or Splitgate.
The potential there is so cool. I mean, who knows? Because now they're adding, you know, now you can turn into a tiny ball, right? So maybe they
Yeah.
are trying to like
Mhm.
create more portal-like mechanics. So who knows? I am holding my breath. I would love to see them to do larger revamps and add mechanics that could do things like that. Like, I mean, think about it, right? Like, if you're a small ball and then you have some kind of like someone's a small ball and then you eager edge into them and they go flying as a ball, right? Like the
Mhm.
idea of that is like a
Yeah.
cool idea to me because, you know, who knows how far you can launch them or whatever. Is that
Destiny
possible?
Golf.
Maybe. That's what I'm saying. Like there is some cool stuff out there.
Destiny Golf.
There's definitely
So-
going to be.
Yeah.
I was waiting for my
Destiny
moment.
volleyball?
Has anyone played like Halo Infinite with the grapple? Right in that.
Yes.
Right,
That
so-
is- Yep.
I was a community forger for Halo, going back so many Halo titles. But basically, in the latest Halo game, I designed like this skyscraping map for capture the flag, right? 2 flag, capture the flag. and you can't touch the floor. It's like mist and everything as you go sort of down there. But you basically grapple, and you can turn the grapple cooldown rate all the way down. So you can just grapple. So you're basically Spider-Man going through these skyscrapers, running through buildings,
That's
jumping
cool.
out of them, and then like going to recapture the flag. Like, yeah, like
I think
it's
that's
we've said this on this show before. It's like Bungie, like, you know, you created Forge and Halo. Like, what are we doing? And yeah, imagine that. Just turn the hunter into a fucking ball, and I'll whack him away with Eager Edge. Like,
no, exactly. I think the sandbox has a lot of potential for stuff like that. I love what they did with heavy metal recently, adding stuff like that. I mean, and if I'm surprised it didn't come with a private game mode, because that would have been fire. I
That would
think
be funny.
now that they're adding a gun range where there are gonna be rally flags enabled, there is a lot of potential to do goofy things in that area. And I know it's for damage testing, but I mean, who knows what we could do in that? If, you know, once you let gamers actually get away with, you know, whatever they want, create some very goofy stuff like that, you know, there are interesting things that are possible.
Yeah.
I just want to bring a point that somebody said in chat about Slammer and then the fact that it's not going to be available anymore.
Mhm.
I do believe so. Rumor said I thought they just put it in the Legacy Engram pool like the rest of the old gear, so you might still be able to get it. You won't be able to get an adept version
Oh,
of it,
shot, man.
Oh, true.
but
Oh,
you
true. Yeah,
might
yeah.
still be able to get it through Engrams, right? I think it's
Gotcha.
an important point to bring back.
That's fair.
So
we have
yeah,
so
not an
many
adept.
things in that kind of system. It's like enough.
We forget.
Yeah, that's true.
forget
I
about it all
completely
the
forget.
time.
I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
interacted with that system at all whatsoever.
Like,
No, I
if
did- I
they
mean,
bring anything
why?
back and put it in those engrams or in Days of Eternity, you're never gonna see it. It's just
Well,
the pool's
that, but
too
also, it's so expensive. They need to bring back the
Is
price
it?
of these. It's like it's 3 engrams. It's 3 Vanguard engrams for like one of
That's
those
true,
things.
too, yeah,
cost
yeah.
Last time I
engrams?
checked,
Oh,
Yeah.
the cost of
God.
engrams is insane.
Mhm.
I'm like, no, it needs to go back to 1, and then people will actually interact with it. I don't interact with it anymore because it's too expensive. I'm like, I don't care. I'll
If
just
I
On the
could
other end-
focus perks, or if I were
Also-
guaranteed like 2 perks per column,
Mhm.
then maybe it's worth it.
Here's the thing, you quote unquote are but are not,
Oh.
because if you reset your rank like 5-6 times, you're supposed to be able to get up, and I do say
Yeah.
up
You
to
can get
3
up
per
to 3
column,
per-
right? But I hate the fact that it's not
That's
a
a lot of
guarantee.
multiple.
I grinded my ass off in your strike playlist to level up, to re-rank or to reset my rank 5 times. Give me my goddamn 3 perks in every column every time
That's
I
how I
pull a
really feel.
weapon. And also, don't make it freaking 3 engrams per weapon. Especially since you capped engrams at 99. No, stop it.
No,
Give
I
me
agree.
1 engram per, and then also my 3 perks. If I spent all my time in the playlist, I should be rewarded because I spent time in the playlist. Not a chance. Give it to me. I don't
It
know.
is
That's
interesting
just-
that they kept that at 99 because has anyone noticed that Hawthorne is not kept at 99 engrams?
No, I did not notice that.
I'll be honest,
Is that
I
on
don't really
chat?
play
Oh,
the
yeah.
game.
No, but that's the thing. Here's the thing with Hawthorne. The reason why they capped it at 99 is that, quote unquote, you keep your engrams season per season, right? Before you would lose them.
Mhm.
Every season they would reset at 0, you would lose them. And then they're like, oh, now we're going to cap everything at 99. Well, other than Hawthorne, I guess. But I'm assuming that Hawthorne just resets. Like, she's the old system. Maybe she's not capped, but I assume she's resetting because the clan stuff resets all the time, right? It resets every season. You have to re-grind all the XP
Maybe.
for the clan. So, but every other vendor, you keep your engrams. But I'm like, I don't care about keeping my engrams. Just give me a reminder at the end of the season. I'll go grab my 400 engrams from Vanguard.
You're
and
gonna
turn them
sit
in,
there and
or
turn
whatever.
every
I've
single
done
one
it.
in?
I have done it, Dan. I've done that 400 engrams with like PvP at Shacks, and I've sat my ass down and turned every single one of these. So I'll do it again.
Just take them
And-
from me. There's nothing I need from your vendor. Just take them.
Well, okay. To be fair, it gives you shards,
Take
right?
them.
If you
Yeah.
if you
Give
if
me
you
my
turn them in and
Wow.
scrap it, you get the shards.
Yeah,
so
but
for me, it was like,
I have
oh, man.
almost I have like half a page in my vault of shards already. It's just sitting there, so it's like
It's fine. Legendary shards back in the time, then the day, right?
Give me rally banners.
I was gonna
Tiddly.
say,
I will
it's
trade
not
them
bringing
for
That's
us-
the only thing I
rally
turn
ban.
in is turn them in for rallies.
If I could give you rally banners, Sammy, I would. I had like 15 stacks at some point.
I had
Oh
like
my
a
God.
1,000 plus, and then Master
I-
Ghost would leave.
I don't know what to do with them anymore. I
gonna
delete
cut
them
through
now. I'm like,
here.
I just have too many.
I would
Con-
love the ability to turn them into Glimmer or just rally flags, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean
That'd be nice.
that could be an option too, but yeah, it's just that's what it is now.
The next topic from the Twid is one that had like weird fucking shit happen with it. So Festival Lost 2024 was Year of the Wizard. The community came together to vote for themed wizard ornament sets. They are called by most of the community the Good Wizards and the Evil Wizard sets, and the result of the vote was clear. Evil Warlocks and Hunters, but good Titans. If you've checked the Eververse store this week, you may have noticed the other 3 sets. The runner-up are now available for Bright Dust. Have you finished your seasonal challenges yet? And Silver. Let's list them. So the Titan gets the Cryptus Magus set. The Hunter gets Uncanny Conjurer, and Warlock gets Eerie Thaumaturge. Even though the community voted for the opposites, we promised that we would make them available at some point during episode Heresy. So here you have them. Enjoy. Like,
I'm happy about that.
like I'm happy that they put them out and that people were able to get them. I'm not happy with what I'm seeing on Twitter
Yeah.
of like
Yeah.
what some people are doing with these sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, and I don't think I want to know.
There-
I haven't gone on Twitter in forever, but
Yeah. There's been
Once again, I'm out of the loop days later.
I will say it.
on Twitter.
go for
I
it.
Yeah.
have no issue. They are using these
Oh, yeah, I've
sets
seen it.
to
yeah.
to basically make KKK outfits.
Yeah.
And
Of course
flaunting
they
it,
Mm-hmm.
which if you're out
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
I saw someone talking
I-
about that.
I will
on
say some very
TikTok.
unkind words to you
That is report
As
on
you
site.
should. As you should.
on site.
Yeah.
It's
And-
dude, I'm so mad. These sets are great, like they're good, and for once, we not only got one set, we got 2 sets, right? Which was never a thing before. Bungie was
Mhm.
like, due to people saying like, no, we love both, please bring them both. They're like, you know what, we'll do that. The artists spent time on these sets, made like really cool sets for us to enjoy. And then of course the community, not all the community, sorry,
Right.
some people in
Certain
the community
shitheads.
have to like make this happen. And now I'm
Mhm.
like, fuck, is this gonna mean that Bungie is not gonna release both sets anymore when people
Mhm.
are like asking for them? Like, come on,
I don't think that
guys.
affects it, unfortunately. Like,
I hope
I
not.
think it'll be. Well, the problem is like, what if the set that was voted on
Mhm.
this happens? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not.
that's also
I don't think that
true.
has anything to do with it. It's just unfortunate
Yeah.
that group of people
Mhm.
saw this and was like, you know what?
This is this is
And-
what
Yeah,
can
people
happen.
have done stupid shit with like stuff that's already in the game when like
Yeah.
Well, the interesting
outside
thing
of what
is
has already happened.
one of the posts itself starts with literally it starts with I'm not racist.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah,
nah,
that's what a
nah.
racist
Conversation.
says.
Exactly.
If you start a conversation with I'm not racist, and then you have to
But-
do an explanation of
Mhm.
your clearly KKK inspired outfit, it doesn't really matter what the justification
Yeah.
is. You understand that there will be
Yeah.
outrage.
Mhm.
Why there might be people enraged about it. It is, I have no sympathy for these people, and these people are getting banned.
Mhm.
Good.
Good.
As they
Rightfully
should.
so.
So
Bungie has been
Deserve.
pretty good about it. They've been pretty on
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
one of my
Good.
Yeah.
So let me talk to you about my link to this. Is that one of those shitheads came into my community during Baron Bingo
Which is
and
Oh.
is prominently known for leading a Facebook group for Destiny. And so that's the dude that you're talking about, Con. Is the
really?
yeah.
Oh.
I did not know
And
this.
so that dude was in my server. I saw that immediately, like banned and got rid of that piece of shit. But it like literally
Has he
comes.
now been like banned from the game? Like
I don't know.
after-
It was like one of those things where it was like just I reported him there. I made sure that like the link was available so that other people could report him. Like,
Yeah.
it's just emblems make people do weird things. And, like is like what
Yeah.
this kind of ties back to. because this dude was clearly like on like trying to get something out of this, and I don't know. I've heard some other things about this individual that I'm not a huge. I don't know for sure because the other person that messaged me was kind of sketch, so I don't know. Just
I think a lot of these people might actually even believe that they're not racist or anything like that,
Mhm.
and just are very ignorant to what they're actually putting out into the world and why it would be inflammatory towards various groups.
Yeah.
And that's just straight up ignorance,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a reason why you don't even joke about certain things. And I don't think I think that's the part where it's like falling on deaf ears. I think a lot of the other half of this is people who think that edgy humor is, okay, or they try and get a rise out of people by being edgy.
Mhm.
That type of stuff. I personally in my community don't like to see people be edgy like that, or especially touching sensitive topics like that. And yeah, I mean, like eventually someone crosses the line in something that's like very, very, very messed up.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's been very nice to see DMG coming out swinging on this,
Yeah.
and various other accounts getting banned because of it. Hopefully it sets a record saying that don't go ahead and
Mhm.
It's
don't
very
do this.
public that people are getting banned for it, and yet they keep popping up. And part of me wonders if it's because they're like, okay, can I get away with it,
Mhm.
or are they doing it just to be a troll?
Mhm.
Because they obviously see people are getting banned, not like more than one. It's obviously a problem, but people are still doing it. So why are they still doing it?
I think at this point,
That's what
it's
I
a lot
don't
of,
understand.
It's attention.
I think the initial ones I think were for getting a rise and a reaction out of people.
Mhm.
The subsequent ones after the bans, I think more are a rebellious thing where they're like, you can't go ahead and like hinder my free speech, et cetera, or whatever it might be. But like there's a line, and also Bungie
You've
is a private
also-
company. They can go ahead and do whatever the hell they want as well, and they want to foster a community that's not racist.
Yeah.
So
You also got to take into account that we follow so many creators as creators ourselves,
Mhm.
right? And so we see everything that everyone's like retweeting or already talking about. People who are just your everyday players, they'll follow and like be a part of like certain communities, and they'll see these things being put around, but then they won't see the outcome of them for days,
Yeah.
a week.
Very
so
true.
that won't hit their feeds. Then they'll be like, fuck yeah, that's funny. It's not. That's funny. And then bloody go and do it, be a part of it. And then they won't know the consequences of what happened until it hits,
That's true.
Mhm.
the big feed. So, people are very casual with being on social feeds and, jumping into the game. And yeah, they won't see the full extent of it all.
Yeah. Tiddly, free speech is not free speech without consequences. People will learn when they get banned. Absolutely. I think Dylan, aka DMG, wrapped this up. He said, "Fuck racism. Team is aware. Cheers to folks reporting." Like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just sad that something good was taken, like manipulated into something pretty shitty. But these things happen. It's generally just the community reaction is always nice to see when people are calling out this shit. I know that there's like a lot of negativity with the fact that happened at all, but like it's also cool to see people coming forward and being the better voice of all this. And of course DMG coming out and Bungie taking action on these. I'm not the most I don't make comments on things like politics or anything like that, but this is not really a political matter or anything like that. This is just pure decency. So it's nice to see the good reactions, and it's just sad to see that it happened at all, but it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, with that, we'll move into community questions. On a lighter note, Bergenstar says, question from me for Khan, as somebody who is competitive. What drove the decision to scout for the next raid race?
It was a couple things. One, I told myself when I was looking, when I put out feelers, my last team was not playing the game as much anymore. I was looking for someone who was a little bit more involved and, you know, as invested as I am, if I was going to go for it. I played for placements. It's still one of my items to do on my bucket list to get a placement in a day one race as someone who's also competitive. But I also put out feelers saying that, you know, if there are any teams that need a scout, who understand that I can bring value to a team, and if I felt like it was a team that I could bring meaningful value to, that I would choose to scout instead. So I got invited to scout for Lethal's team. It's got ATP, Zemo, a couple of other really great gamers, and I genuinely believe that I can make a difference to help hopefully get them the belt. That was my main driving force, is that I think that I could make a big impact. I could go ahead and make sure that I positively influenced their ability to get the belt, and I think that they are completely capable of doing it. So I will be doing the scout, and then eventually, I'll get back into races because I do want to get a placement. But that was the primary reason. The secondary reason is because I am a lot more content focused. I told myself that I wanted to focus a little bit more on content. I'd never really focused on it. I was very fortunate that I celebrated my 1-year partner anniversary a few weeks back, like a month ago or so. And so I've just been on trying to figure out content. It's not something that I've done in a focused sense. Most of my success with Twitch has just come out of me wanting to do interesting things like speeds or Lowmans, and being very fortunate that I've been able to build a community around that. And this is the first time I'm actually making a concerted effort to make content. And I've had my ups and downs, but it's been an interesting thing. I just can't. Unfortunately, I know that my limitations, and I can't do it all, but I do know that I can help secure the belts with the team I'm on now.
Tidley had a follow-up question. She said, what are the really good teams to look out for on the day one race beside the one that you're scouting for?
Just the one that I'm looking for. I'm scouting for.
Only one that matters.
Yeah, the only
That's
one that
brand
matters.
loyalty right there.
It's pretty much the same teams that you can count on. One of my favorite clans out there is Boundless. They are part of Boundless. You know, Mario just won with his team first place contest, Thunder Doctrine. I think they're going to do amazing. A lot of the teams that you see normally are going to do really well. Obviously Elysium, they're going to be up there. Passion's got several great teams as well. But yeah, I mean the same teams you can go ahead and count for. If you know Curly Fry, he has a very solid team. I would 100% keep an eye out for Curly Fry. He's the GOAT. Razor, Bliss Clan does really well. So there are good names out there. I think because the raid date is kind of in a weird spot right before GCX, a lot of teams are up in the air looking for 6. So you will see shakeups with teams. And yeah, we'll have a better sense of who the teams are going into it in the weeks leading up to it. So, but though I can say very confidently that those are the clans that I'm looking out for. There are a certain number of players that I'm looking out for. As someone who's going to be scouting, I know who I'm going to be looking out for, and it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Subsistence Sasquatch asks, what speedrun or Lowman are you the most proud of, Khan?
The easiest answer for Lowman is probably Solo Flawless Ron. Just because it was something I did on stream. I remember, so one of my biggest hurdles with stream and just streaming in general has been that I perform a lot worse as soon as I press the go live button. And one of the reasons why that one was so big was it was probably the biggest accomplishment I did on stream. with a whole bunch of people to see. And when you got it done, the chat goes wild. And I'd been working on it for weeks to months prior, so it was such a great cathartic feeling to get the dub. One of the highlights of my stream. It was about a week after I hit partner as well, so it was just like a whole flurry of emotions and everything. It was definitely really, really cool.
Hell yeah. Cryo Phoenix asks, with Armor 3.0 on the horizon, how does the speedrunning community feel about the immense shakeup to their builds and the potential it offers?
I don't know if I can speak for the entire speedrunning community, but I will say Armor does need a bit of a shakeup. It is very boring right now. It has a lot of potential to be done wrong. So I will also say that I hope that it's handled with care, and hopefully the refarming of new armor isn't as painful as it could be. When with the -5 changes, a lot of the raids and dungeons got a little bit more of annoying to go ahead and run. Nothing too crazy, but it was. And to add a little bit more on top of it, to go ahead and add the armor grind and stuff. I don't know if a lot of people are the biggest fans of that. But if it offers new tech, new abilities to go ahead and do things that we weren't able to do before, especially if Samuel was talking about this, but if they introduce more movement tech, they are adding the ball. Who knows what else they can add? It could open up new avenues for new speeds, new tech. That is the optimistic look. But yeah, I think people are very, very cautious about what could happen. It as long as it's not a pain to grind for new armor, is going to be the big thing.
I saw something in chat earlier that somebody was speculating that when Armor 3.0 comes in and we get different gear bonuses for wearing certain pieces of armor together, that might fit into like maybe dot swap being throughout the entire being for in-game content.
Yeah. So part of the reason why I haven't felt super strongly about not swap was most of the speeds that I did were in GMs, right? And I'm starting to get into dungeons, but for GMs, you are locked to one build anyway. So it never really felt like as impactful for me personally. So that was that one thing for me. So I am biased, but I do think imposing restrictions or constraints to that level does hurt a segment of the population that is sometimes not considered as much. It's part of the things. I actually did want to talk a little bit about that during the whole talk about Bungie implementing the speed rules. There was a lot of outrage about it, and part of the outrage came from Bungie's inability to communicate with the endgame scene properly. Say what you will, they're finally doing some more stuff with it, but generally there has been a little bit of a falling off where Bungie's not been able to go ahead and communicate changes or fixes or updates and things like that properly. One of the big things that comes to mind is not for the speed community, but Solo Witness was a good example, right? Where they introduced a patch and they said that they were going to go do this patch in a few weeks, and then they went ahead and moved it up without warning a couple weeks early. So a lot of people who were working on Solo Witness and thought that they had a few weeks ahead of time to go ahead and do these things lost that and wasted a lot of the time. So there was a little bit of outrage there. I think that they can't cater to certain portions of the community every single time, but communicating it is kind of their responsibility. And I wish they were a little bit more in tune with terminology and how to communicate with endgame players, like the skip no skip thing. If they just were a little bit more aware of, the wording of that tweet was very poor in my opinion. the Destiny 2 tweet that came in about the no skip versus no skip rule was in response to one of my tweets. But what a lot of people probably didn't see was Bruno initially typed a response to my tweet first that was later deleted.
Gotcha.
And then the Destiny 2 team came in after to clarify the rules. Bruno's tweet was a lot more clear in terms of its verbiage than the one that the Destiny 2 team one came after. So the outrage all started from that one, but if they had seen Bruno's tweet earlier, it was a lot more clear and concise and a little bit more straightforward with why no skips were not allowed and, you know, that you just couldn't skip in general. So, yeah. I think that people should be worried, and as long as Bungie communicates it, at least we'll be able to brace for it.
Fair enough. Last question. This one's the one that I promised. So my community had a conversation today about what do you consider a retro or vintage game or console. The question was brought up because of The Last of Us came out in 2013, and somebody called that a retro or vintage game.
What kind of fucking millennials are in your chat? What?
The Zoomers on.
I was looking at Epic Dan, and he just started smiling like straight away. He's like, "Where's
Retro?
this going?"
Super
And,
Mario.
dude, what
My
the
world. That's retro.
fuck, man?
Retro.
What do you mean?
Nintendo Game Boy.
You're not going to like my answer to this. I already can tell.
Oh God.
I was with some people today at Pokemon Go, and they were like, "Oh, the Nintendo DS is retro, isn't it?" I'm like, "Motherfucker, what?"
But that's my point, though. So, like, I was talking. I was in a VC before I joined the podcast, and I was talking about this. Recently, I was playing with Butters, and I don't know if you know Toast. Toast is also a really, really great streamer. But we were talking about. I don't remember what we were talking about exactly, but the topic of age came up, and the topic of the year 1990 came up, and I made the comment that 1990 was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Don't do that.
exactly. See, that is the reaction, right? And it's true,
I'm not ready
though.
for
But
that.
like, yeah, I know no one's ready for that. But like, 90s games can be like, especially early 90s games can be considered. Because I mean, eventually it moves up, right? Like, what did you consider retro growing up, right? Yeah, the DS and all that stuff. All that stuff is moving up.
My chat.
I don't like this conversation.
My chat said like they were saying something like 20 years is like retro
There's
to
a
that,
definition.
and that makes
There's a definition.
go for it.
So
Is this from Webster's?
well, I'm not gonna go
Let me
that
look at
far,
Urban
but
if
Dictionary.
it comes from
That's
Funkin'
what it
Waggles,
is.
I don't
Vintage-
trust it.
vintage is something that is at least 20 years old. That's
Okay.
considered vintage.
That's vintage. Yeah.
Yeah. So Khan
And
is
then-
technically vintage.
We
We're
all
all
are.
all
vintage.
vintage. my guy.
Okay, get this. Get
We're
this.
all vintage.
At Apple,
Mm-hmm.
it is considered vintage if it is 7 years old. If it
Okay.
is 10
Oh,
years
okay.
old,
All right.
or wait, it might be 5 years old is vintage, or 7. I don't remember. 2 years later, it's considered obsolete, and they won't even touch it.
Well, that's but they're very specific with
Yeah.
their stuff.
Yeah,
Some places say retro is just revival of something in the past.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
like,
what that's my
whatever that
definition
means.
of it. Yeah,
But like
I
Yeah.
think
the vintage argument though, because I'm starting to feel like I know The Last of Us, the original Last of Us, came out 13 years ago, right?
We need a new word.
Destiny came out 10 years ago. I saw a compelling argument on a message board, because that's how deep we got into this. As I started looking at shit on message boards,
On a message
trying to
board.
trying to figure it out. And
Were you on
one-
MySpace?
one
by
guy-
chance?
We're
Yes.
deep in the
Yeah.
forums.
We were talking about MySpace before, weren't we?
They were like, they said something along
Yeah,
the
we were.
lines, and I'm partial to, I think I ascribe to this, is like, if it is 2 console generations behind, it is a vintage game at that point. If it came out on a PS3 or an Xbox 360,
Okay, wait.
No.
it is now
No.
vintage.
No,
I
we
got a
need a new
question for
word.
you.
It was Game
Retro-
Facts.
retro
it was Game
is
Facts, Kyoki.
Retro is 90s, right? Okay, retro is 90s. Vintage is before 90s. We need a new word from the 2010s after. Okay, like
Dude,
Oh,
they're playing
right,
rock
Seth.
music from when I was in high school in the classic rock station. We're old.
Yeah.
You're just watching the
Does that mean
sands of
Linkin
time
Park is
trickle
classic
through.
rock?
Oh,
It's
there
all
is
escaping
classic. I
us.
forgot about that. Yeah,
I've got a
classic.
question for
Well,
you guys.
I don't know. I feel like classic is different.
So, Switch 2 is coming out, right? One
Oh,
of
you
the
said
launch
Switch 2.
titles,
Switch.
Switch
to.
2.
Switch to, yeah.
So the Wii is retro.
One of the launch titles for Switch 2
Hmm?
is Breath of the Wild, which was originally the launch title for Switch 1.
Right.
What are your thoughts
Okay.
on that?
It's
It's
I-
So
the
it's
Wii
the
U would
exact
be
same game.
the Wii U would
It's
be
a money-
retro at this point, or would be vintage at
It's
this
a
point.
cash grab.
Wii U
It's a
is,
cash grab.
yeah.
It's just
So
a cash
it's the
grab.
exact same
Okay.
game, Sam.
Yeah.
You can
okay, but
purchase an upgrade to it,
What does the
but
upgrade
it
do?
is considered. It
I
increases I think it brings it up to 60 FPS or something.
Does
Oh,
that even
wow.
they're
count as like a
enhancing the game,
remaster?
Enhancing
So it's just
it,
like
yeah.
Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
enhanced, not
Enhanced,
like a
yeah.
remaster.
But it's not a remaster necessarily. It's not like they made Oblivion where they like
Right.
way upped it.
To be
This is
fair,
just-
That's a
everything
remaster.
everything I've heard about the Switch 2 just makes me not want to even go near that console. You won't own your games anymore. You won't be able to have a physical copy of your game anymore. You won't be able to litigate if there's any issue with the console itself.
Welcome to
Like,
techno
it's
feudalism. We've
You
been
don't
here
It's
for a
need to
while.
own anything.
insane. It's insane. I'm like, and I
Every
have
time
a
I'm with
Switch.
Dan, I learn a new word.
Yep.
And like,
Techno-feudalism.
I have a
Subscription
Switch.
anyway.
And I was looking up like, oh, maybe I'll get a Switch too, blah, blah, blah. And then the more I learn about this, I'm like, no, I'm not going anywhere near that console. There's too many red flags to it. And then the fact that they're like, oh yeah, base price for games is gonna be $90 now.
Yeah.
There's
thank
no
you,
way every
bye.
game is going to be on there.
No, it's
for
not gonna be, but like the
$90,
big
so-
names, like the big release. And I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm
Dude
not doing that.
Awakening's going to
I'm-
be $49.99 US.
I was
know
gonna
what's
say
good?
that's
You
it's
can't
gonna
say
lead to a
that
lot
word.
of games. It's gonna lead to a
Yeah.
lot of games being like, you know
Oh,
what?
100%.
Those big guys, they're going for $90. We just want $50 for a really good like for you to have a really good
Yeah.
experience. And I think
Mhm.
like
I
Claire
heard that
Obscure
the
is a
game
good thing or a good model for that. Like, yeah.
Just
isn't
wait
even
for
on the
Larian
cards.
Studios to bring out their next game for like $50. So
Dude,
No, that's not
but
gonna
like
happen.
here's the thing, right? For me, I'm in Canada, right? So games are already $90 for me, Canadian dollars, but still, they're already $90 for me. So like that's gonna push them well over 100.
Mm-hmm.
I have paid full price gifted games for people, like because I'm like, I like this game. Even if you don't play this game, I don't care because I've loved this game so much. I want to like help the developers, right? I'm like, I don't care. This is just for the devs at this point. I've done that with Baldur's Gate, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I've gifted that games before full price. Don't care. Or like the 10% off they had for a while, which was like very little, let's be real. But I was like, I don't care, even if that person doesn't replay this game, because that's such a good game. I want to keep seeing these type of games in the industry and like for people to be able to play and enjoy, like other than just this one. I want more of that, right? So I was like, I'll shell out that money, don't care. But I've also done it for like smaller games or games that were on sale or whatever. I was like, I don't care if you don't play the game, it's a good game. I'll just do it, right? But if every new release, and this is why sometimes I look at games and I'm like, I'm not gonna buy it right away because first games come out and they always, well, not always, very often need patches because they're unfinished. So I'm gonna pay $90, well, $100 for a game that's unfinished. No, thank you, not interested. And then, like Dan said, I'm hoping we see more like smaller studios or even big studios be like, no, we don't care. The game is gonna be $50. I'll shell out $50. The game is good, like Claire Obscura. Oh, the game is good. You know what? I might buy the game, not even play it ever, but I'm like, it's a good game. I'll pay it. I'll shell the money, give the money to the devs,
Mhm.
and I might never play the game. But I don't care. I want to support good games, good studios. So I don't know. It's just I don't know where we're going with the industry, but holy crap, they need to rein it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Is D&D retro?
My guy, it's
I would
like
say it's
80s.
I would say it's super vintage.
I would say it's retro.
It's
So Warhammer would be retro vintage?
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
it's vintage.
What about
but
chess?
there's a renewal of it.
Chess is
no,
ancient.
chess
Yeah.
is antique.
Antique.
Antique is
there you
over
go.
100 years old.
Yeah,
Go
I
Fish.
think
is over
it's a
100
new
years
chess
old.
patch.
When was Go Fish invented?
Dude, I don't
Google it.
know.
Are we talking
Probably,
about actually fishing?
Yeah.
No, the
Fish.
game
No,
Go
the-
Fish.
No, the game Go
Card
Fish.
game?
No, I know. That it was a bad joke.
But the fishing, yeah, like when was it
It's
invented?
a bad
I'm not
joke,
sure.
guys. Come on.
15th
I remember
century.
something in the Bible about fishing.
No, but Go Fish is from the 15th
Yeah,
century.
but who reads that?
15th century.
No one here.
In,
So what would that be? Ancient or super ancient?
It's an antique at least, right?
If you
know?
ask the
Antique.
millennials, fucking 1990s ancient.
Yeah.
I will say though,
We're old.
as
now.
much as people are upset about the whole retro conversation, I'm okay with things being considered retro as long as they get redone. Like I want games that I grew up with to get the refresh because they're considered retro and be updated. Like I 100%
Okay.
don't think that the nostalgia bait should be like the gold standard, but I would love to go ahead and play some of the old Pokemon games that are refreshed
Oh, for
in
sure.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the
dude.
20. Exactly.
My-
I don't care if they're considered retro. It's like, you know,
If I can
My
play
issue
black and
with-
white again, ooh,
You can
I don't
still
know
you can still
what-
technically play that, but like my
It's like
issue with
gold.
these remakes, quote unquote, is that not always, but very often I've seen, at least in my opinion, they remake them, but then they change stuff, but like not the right stuff,
so
and it ends
I think,
up not
yeah.
becoming great. And it's like, dude, like
but the thing,
make it better, don't make it worse, quote unquote.
see, I don't know if I'm in the same boat. I think
Mhm.
that certain games need a refresh, but not a revamp. And I think
Yeah.
for things like if I want to play Pokemon Crystal, right? That one didn't get a remake for the DS. If they brought it over to the Switch, I would want them to make a Switch game that was Crystal. I don't want them to make a revamp of Crystal
Right.
in Switch. And I think that is where a lot of people can get split in between, where people are like, you know, if we're gonna have Crystal, we might as well have like a brand new game. And I don't know if I agree with that. I'm okay with playing
Yeah.
Yeah.
Briggs and
I
chat.
just want to relive some of those moments.
Briggs and chat.
Yeah, but that's the
Super Mario
thing.
RPG was the only game I wanted remade from when I was a kid, and I got my wish.
Was
I
it
don't
exactly
know.
the same though? Because
think
that's the
it's
thing.
fairly-
Sometimes they take a game
I think it
and
was
then they
one for
just
one.
redo the graphics, the engine.
much
It's the
one for one.
exact same game, right? Yeah, one for
Yeah.
one games. Sometimes it's like, you know what? That's great. It was a good game already. It just needs better graphics and
Yeah.
better engine, and like, you know, under the hood needs some tuning because it's a bit too old, and then just re-release it. And sometimes like that's when the game was already great back then, and then
Mhm.
they do that. Go for it. I think people just want to be able to play their games again in like a new set, like the current generation of technology. But then sometimes when they take these games, some games do need some improvement. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's like, dude, that was clunky back then. It's still clunky now. That's an issue. But sometimes they take the games, don't fix the clunky stuff, change stuff that doesn't need to be changed. And then you're like, dude, I just wanted you to fix the issues and then make it with a current engine, current graphics. But
I
then you
mean,
change
they
it all
added
up.
Sprint to Oblivion, so and that was well received.
Yeah.
Well, but that's a good change, right? It's a type of change where you're like, it's
Mhm.
useful. It's something that people
Mhm.
probably either didn't know they needed back then because it just wasn't an option,
Yeah.
or they were like, yeah, I would love to replay this game and have this option of like being able to sprint in this game. That's a good type of change where it's like you fix the clunkiness. But then sometimes they add stuff and it's like, why?
I've been
Why?
playing Mass Effect offline, like off stream, just for my
I'm
own
glad you
experiences
bring
with
that
it.
up.
Because the first one, Mass Effect 1, yes,
2007.
they changed that thing for the better. Like,
Yes,
They
did.
fixed
so
a
in,
fair
in
amount of
the
stuff
in the
in
legendary edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to bring up Epic Dan. In 2 years, that will be retro.
Which means time for a Mass Effect remaster.
There you
It's
go.
already had a remaster, so we're
Nope.
going to get what, a
These are
Mass
not-
Effect
Listen,
remaster?
guys.
Remaster? Remastered the remaster?
Exactly.
Listen-
I'm here for that.
Guys,
Mass
it'll
Effect
just
They
1
need to
be
bring out
Skyrim.
they need to bring out the fourth one. If the fourth one, if we still don't have any fucking news for the fourth one in 2 years, by the time it's 2027, like the 20 years after the first one was made, I'm
I
not going to
still
say
don't have
anything
my
because I have no power in
DLC
the
I paid
universe.
for because
The
they decided to
Andromeda
stop
DLC?
producing. Yes.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I yearn for a simpler time when Jimmy Eat World had to change their album title because 9/11 happened the week before.
Jimmy Eat World.
I yearn for the simpler times.
so
I'm still waiting for my Jet Set Radio Future remaster.
Oh, yeah,
anyway,
dude.
So.
Oh yeah.
11 years ago they released Destiny 1. Do you think they should remake Destiny 1 to be
No.
on PC?
No.
Put all of Destiny
Just-
1
Destiny
and
2 at
all of
this
Destiny
point.
2 in one game and just be Destiny World, and that's Destiny 3.
You mean Destiny Rising?
Which is honestly going to have like a closed beta, I think, in a few days.
Oh yeah.
I didn't
Yes.
get to play that. It was US only.
That is a bummer because honestly, I hope they open it up more for this one.
Mhm.
They're doing some pretty interesting things. I
Very interesting.
am
thing.
really worried about the monetization, which I think everyone is rightfully, but it does look like they took fan input about what they wanted in Destiny and
Mhm.
incorporated it because it is very interesting.
It does have the thing we spoke about earlier, where you can grapple and pull things to you,
Yeah,
which is
I didn't know that.
interesting. Yeah, it's
That's
a Titan
cool.
move. Titan has the. It's weird.
Oh, that sucks
it
for
has
Sammy.
the Strand Titan super animations, but they're arc. And then they have a Strand grapple that's also arc for some reason, but it's that you pull enemies and
That
objects
just sounds
to
cool.
you. It's like, okay.
I think playing Clear Obscure has like reignited like my love for video games because it's like hearing stuff like that is so neat, and I just want to like try it in
Mhm.
person. Like video games are just so good.
Yeah. You know what? Let's
I don't
end
know.
that. Let's end this there. Video games are just so good. Khan, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. It's been a pleasure. I hope you had fun. I hope that you
Yes, thank you
enjoyed.
for having me.
Yeah, being.
Yeah, man.
a
Thanks for
guest
making us
here.
feel old.
1990 was 35 years ago.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
Why are we doing that again?
Yeah, man. Just to
I think
just to
I'm
turn the
starting to
screw a
think
little.
Sammy was justified in her bullying of you.
Just a little
Thank you.
bit. Don't worry.
so
I'm used to
Khan,
it.
where can people find you on the internet? Do you have anything like coming up in the next couple of weeks that you want to plug?
Nothing in particular in terms of events, but I am on twitch.tv/con. I am always streaming some kind of goofy challenge and game challenge. Right now I'm doing dungeon speeds, and I'll be doing solo run things as well. But yeah, I mean, we get up to some goofy stuff. Come hang out, say hi, introduce yourself, and yeah, well, I just love like meeting new gamers and go ahead and get to know the Destiny community.
Heck yeah. But once again, thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure having you. Bonafide Hero, where can people find you, bud?
Yeah, everywhere. You'll see the links in the thing. Everywhere but Twitter, and yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I'm not as consistent at the moment.
It's late for you
Just
right now,
go-
dude. Like I understand
wherever
completely.
the fuck you are, I'm there. So
Go check out Bana. Epic Dan, what about you, sir?
You can find me at twitch.tv/EpicDan22. You can find me on the YouTubes at EpicDan22, on the TikTok at EpicDan22, Twitter, on the Blue Sky, on the Instagram. Pretty much, if you Google EpicDan22, you'll probably find me there. The only thing I still have kind of lined up for the foreseeable future is just doing as many of these ultimatum dungeons as I can. So if you're out there in those LFG streets, it's been tough this Ghost Week, but Not for me,
Yeah.
just saying there's a lot of people who apparently are having quite a time in Ghost.
Yeah.
So if
I might
if
hit
you're
you
one
up
of those
this
people
week.
that are needing, it's
Yeah.
I've enjoyed
Can
it
I
a
book
lot.
in for
so just
Tuesday?
enjoy it. Tuesday, you're booked.
Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
I'll message you when I wake up. I'll give you an hour
There you go.
notice of my.
So,
Perfect.
like I always say, I don't really have a stream schedule, but if you come by the stream, probably live. So, come hang out.
Asefa, what about you, friend?
Pretty much just Blue Sky. That's where I'm at right now. Yeah, same name. And you can interact with me there. That's pretty much the only place.
Excellent. Sammy Cat, what about you, friend?
I'm on twitch.tv/SammyCat. I am also SammyCat on Blue Sky Discord and YouTube. And then SammyCat Plays on Twitter and TikTok. If I'm not SammyCat, I'm SammyCat Plays, I guess is the best way to put it.
Perfect. And then you can find me across the internet, Danfinity GG. There's either a period in there or there's not a period in there. You can find my website, danfinity.gg, where I'm going to be putting more stuff this week because I have to make stuff. I have to make stuff. I have to make time to make stuff, and that's the thing that's happening. I think we're going to be playing Night Rain on Friday. I think my car is going in on Tuesday, and we're getting a new couch. And that's
We gotta
pretty much
schedule
it.
some time to play some Night Rain this weekend together. By the way,
Yeah, dude,
Figure that out.
absolutely. I am into that. I'm into it. So, all right, that is all for episode 102 of the Destiny Digest podcast. Remember to rate and review on your podcast platform of choice. We appreciate you, and we hope you find what you're grinding for.